Hi, it's me, Alex, a stay-at-home reader, and it is time for me to do the mid-year book freakout tag. So, question one is, how has your reading year been so far? And this is hard. Like, I've certainly read really great books this year, but overall, I'm not thrilled with how this reading year is going. I've had a great year in terms of like buddy reading, in terms of creating a book project, but I think my mistake this year was to devote way too much time in the spring to book prizes. I tried to read the full Women's Prize long list. There were some other long lists that I was looking at, or at least, if I had missed that, I was looking at short lists of some prizes. And so at one point I was tracking like 4 different prizes and getting stuff out from the library, and then getting really overwhelmed by the amount of books I had out from the library. When what I really want to be focusing on is reading books off my own shelves. But I feel like I can't have an opinion on who wins a prize if I didn't read the whole prize list. But you know what? Like, specifically for the Women's Prize, like, going from long list to short list was such a disappointment anyway, that I am not going to do that to myself again. And I feel like that dragged down my just reading experience for this first half of the year. So my average, according to Storygraph, is a 3.6. Like, that's not terrible, but I'm a pretty generous star giver when it comes to how I rate books. I feel like if I could nudge that up to like a 3.8, that would be a really good indicator of a enjoyable reading year. Number 2, what is the best book you've read so far this year? And that's such an impossible question. Right now, what stands out to me is The Dream Hotel. That blew my mind. That was like a perfect Alex book. Also Nesting. And both The Dream Hotel and Nesting were on the Women's Prize for Fiction long list, did not make it to the short list. What the hell? Both of those are better than anything on the short list. Invisible Man was a read-along earlier this year. I think I gave it a 4-star, but like, I already know that's going to get bumped up, but I'm going to wait till I ever reread it to go ahead and bump that up. Question 3 is, what is the best sequel you've read? Nothing good. So this probably, the most enjoyable sequel would probably be out of a children's book series that I reread this year. So I read these to my son when he was younger, and now my niece is at the age where she loves this series, and it's the Dory Phantasmagoria series. And so the second book in that series would probably have to be best sequel. I don't think I have a lot of book 2s on my read list for the year, and certainly nothing that's like blown me away either, even within a series. I'm looking forward to reading book 2 of the Dungeon Crawler Carl series, but I haven't yet, so maybe that'll be for the second half of the year. Number 4 is a new release you've not read yet, but you want to. I was granted an e-arc on NetGalley for Frederick Bachman's newest book. I think it's called My Friends. And when I got approved for that, like, I could have cried. Frederick Bachman, I absolutely adore, love. I should have been prepared to be disappointed. Like, so I started it and I wasn't feeling it. Um, and I didn't get it read in time, like before it was released. Partly because I didn't have a good e-reader. I now have a replacement Nook for mine that broke, so like e-reading is going a lot better now. So I still want to get my hands on a physical copy. I would still probably buy it, even though I didn't like it my initial couple chapters read. I feel like my tastes have changed, where like I've outgrown his writing style, which is very upsetting, because I have loved every book of his. Actually, I never finished The Winners. I got about halfway through that. And I feel like at that point is where I was like, I don't know that I like his writing voice. Like, I feel like my tastes have changed. Even though my initial reaction to it wasn't as positive as I hoped it would be, I still do want to get to that. Another new release that I am super excited for, super looking forward to, is Run for the Hills by Kevin Wilson. When I did see him in person 2 years ago, he mentioned that he was in the process of writing this book. So when it came out, I was like, I know all about it. He told me personally. Not really. So I feel like that connection, like I knew this book was coming and here it is. So I'm super excited. I love Kevin Wilson. Yeah, number 5, the most anticipated release of the second half of the year. I don't really keep up with what's coming out. I know that Shannon Bowring has the 3rd book in her Dalton series coming out. I did just look it up. It is called In a Distant Valley, and it comes out on October 7th. So I love both of the Dalton books I read last fall. Summer or fall? I'm not sure. And then Emily Austen actually just announced, on my birthday, she announced this book. So I'm considering it a personal birthday gift because favorite author. It won't be coming out until January, but I was able to get her last book on NetGalley, so I'm hoping I could get this early, like before the year is up, for the January release of her book. It's called Is This a Cry for Help? If Emily Austen has a book out, it is in my favorite books of the year. Like, I think we're 3 or 4 years in a row at this point. Number 6, what was the biggest disappointment of the year so far? Author-wise, I'm disappointed that Percival Everett's not doing it for me. Like, James was my favorite book of last year. It was the first of his that I read. I've since then read The Trees and Erasure. And I started something like So Much Blue, I think. That one was a really quick, like, nah, I'm not feeling it. But The Trees and Erasure I both read entirely and love the premise of both of them. Like, even like in retrospect, when I think about what the books are about, I'm like, wait, so why didn't I rate them higher? They're just not, like, execution wise, getting quite right for me, which is a huge disappointment. And I'm not done. I'm not ready to give up on reading Percival Everett, but he's not hitting where I want him to hit. Like, in theory, he should be a favorite author. I don't know why it's not working out. Similarly, but a completely different genre and type of writer, Grady Hendrix Have loved some of his books in the past, have not enjoyed other books. This year I read Witchcraft for Wayward Girls, and I was like, well, this one will do it. This will get me back on the train, because I started strong with him, dipped down. His 2 or 3 most recent books have not liked. Witchcraft for Wayward Girls surely will get me back on track. It did not. It did not. It took me forever to read. And I could see what he wanted to do, but I don't think he executed it well. And then the other disappointment, and that's not to say this was a bad book, because it was still a very good book. Actually won the Women's Prize for Fiction. It was my second place choice for that prize list, but it ended up winning. That would be The Safekeep by Yael van der Wouden. And I think this is just a case of it was way too hyped. Like, I expected this to be like 5, 6, 10 star read. And it wasn't. It was very good, and I enjoyed every part of it. I just don't think the parts connected well. Like, it started as one story, it ended up being something else in the middle that was kind of surprising, and then the end was, I think, completely predictable from the very beginning. But like at each moment it was done well. So I think this, in terms of being a disappointment, is just because it wasn't perfect and it was overhyped, and so I expected more from it. So that's just, I think, the danger of being a follower of like bookish content and seeing everyone reacting one way and then not having that same reaction. That just sets you up for disappointment. So unfortunately, that was my experience with The Safekeep. Question number 7 is, what is the biggest surprise of the year so far? I'm surprised how much I loved Interior Chinatown. I actually listened to it. As soon as I finished the audiobook, I put on the Hulu adaptation and started reading it physically. Loved it. It's a funky format. It's hard to follow you're like, what's happening? What's real? Like, what is this book doing? But you kind of figure it out, or even if you don't, you're along for the ride. And so even if you don't know what's happening in the book, it is making such strong statements and connections to an immigrant experience, to a minority experience in America, and the idea of perceptions and like being assigned a role in society as a minority. I'm surprised how much I loved the book. It is another one that had gotten a lot of praise. It won the National Book Award 2020, maybe, or more recently than that, I don't know. And so that's one where like all the hype it was getting, I expected it to be overhyped. So like the opposite of my experience with The Safekeep. It was getting all this hype and I was like, well, it can't be that good. And it was. Number 8, who is your new favorite author? Sinclair Lewis. I have wanted to read him for a while now. I have twice started, but put down for now. Like, I need to prepare myself and approach this the right way. It can't happen here, which is a story about the rise of fascism in the United States. It's a satire. Yeah, it can't happen here. Yes, it can. So that I've tried starting twice, and I know I'm gonna love that book. I read Main Street by him this year, a buddy read with Nicole, of course, and that ended up being, I think, about a 4-star book. But that was a great reading experience. I loved it. I love the things he did. There's a really subtle sort of sarcasm and satire in that book too. So I'm expecting Sinclair Lewis to be a new favorite author. And so whenever I see his books in little free libraries or used bookstores, they come home with me. Okay. The next question is weird. Number 9, who is your fictional crush? And I don't really have a fictional crush. So I don't really have a fictional character crush. But I guess I've been living under a rock. And I don't really listen to music often. But a video came across my social media page of Youngblood. So I sent that to my sister. I was like, who is this? And do I love him? And she's like, oh, that's Youngblood. And yes, we love him. So he's a real person. Obviously, he's not fictional. He is very real. However, as I keep watching like reels of him, I can't get out of my mind that if there were to be a remake of A Clockwork Orange, he should totally be cast as Alex. And so I do not have a crush on Alex of A Clockwork Orange because he's psychotic. But I have a crush on Youngblood. And I feel like a creepy old lady because he's just a little rock star boy, but swoon. But he could play that character that I do not have a crush on. But that's just such a silly question. I don't know. Number 10 is, who is your new favorite fictional character? And it really just depends on the most recent book I read. I tend to focus on character stories, and so I get really invested in characters. I'm going to say, though, Carl from Dungeon Crawler Carl, because I know I have a lot more to experience with him, and that's exciting, and he was a really great character, and it was a really, really fun book. So, Carl, new favorite fictional character. Number 11, a book that made you cry. I cried, like tears running down my face, reading The Friend. Even though I didn't love the book, you know, it's about a woman working through her grief over her friend's death, and she ends up taking custody of his dog, and the dog is grieving and she is grieving, and she ends up grieving the dog, and that got me because I'm also grieving the loss of my own dog. So that's the book that got me in tears. And so like I said, I didn't overall love the book, but the moments that were like really highlighting her connection with the dog got me. Number 12, what is a book that made you happy? And going back to a favorite author, Emily Austen, I read We Could Be Rats in the beginning of the year. Loved it, not as much as I loved her previous 2 novels. But then I took a little mini road trip, hour drive up to Mystic, like very last minute, wasn't totally planned. I learned about it and my husband was like, yeah, you should go. I went to go to her book signing like the week it was released. And that was a great experience. And I'm just happy. I'm proud of myself for doing that on my own, for like overcoming my anxiety. I vlogged that whole experience. It was actually my first video of 2025. So yeah, like the book made me happy because yay, like I still love this author. And then just the whole experience of getting the E arc, finishing it on time, and, you know, overcoming my own social anxiety to go do something out of my comfort zone, and having a great time seeing her, you know, talk about the book, and yeah, getting all my books of hers signed. Happy, happy, happy. Number 13, what is the most beautiful book you've bought this year? Probably the one I just bought, The Illustrated World of Tolkien. The cover is such a beautiful texture. It's this like printed cloth. There's gorgeous illustrations within, and then I'm so excited, like the way it delivers the information on Tolkien's world, specifically in this like second age of Middle Earth. I think it's going to be like super approachable. 14, what books do you need to read by the end of the year? All of them. Look at this. All of them. You can't even see it. There's a chair in the way. So you couldn't even see all the way down this wall. It's just books. But most specifically, because these are the most recent books to come into my home, is everything in this cart. So, yeah, that's what I feel most pressed to prioritize before the end of the year, especially Northwoods by Daniel Mason, because I went at the beginning of last year to see him do a book signing and bought the book, never read it. Wandering Stars by Tommy Orange, bought last year, very soon after it was released. Still haven't read it. Burnham Wood, bought at a indie bookstore. One day we had like a baseball game that was like an hour away, and so we spent the day looking around town, and I found the bookstore. It's the town that the Gilmore Girls show was based off of, so had to go in the bookstore. Of course, Gilmore Girls, Rory's the, you know, bookworm of all bookworms. Still haven't read it. When I was on vacation in Delaware last summer, had to find the bookstore, buy myself a book. Haven't read it. That was Wellness by Nathan Hill. We're going back to Delaware in August again, and I'm going to want to go back into the bookstore. So I need to actually read the things I bought. And then question 15, any plans for the rest of the reading year? So first of all, yes, to prioritize my own TBR shelves. Any other plan for the rest of the year and next year? No more reading prize lists. Like, I need to focus. I'm sure prize lists will inspire things. I'm certain that I will add things to my TBR based off of prize list nominations, but I don't want to devote months of my like reading energy to go towards feeling this like completion compulsion as far as prize lists go. I don't want to do that anymore. So if anything, winners only. I'm hoping there's a shorty September, both Past Story Time and Too Many Heathers, those two channels. So Bert and Sean and Heather, they've gone kind of YouTube quiet, so I'm hoping that by the time September comes around, they've got something for us. Probably either way, just because it's become a habit, is to read a bunch of short books in September. I'll be doing that. And then Nicole and I have our high school required reading challenge. We're rereading books that we were assigned in high school, and so we're going to continue that for the rest of the year, and I am so looking forward to it. And that's it. I guess my other plan, not really as far as reading, is to catch up on tag videos. Yeah, I know there's 3 for sure that I have to do, and I'm sorry. I'm sorry if you've tagged me in a video. I'm not ignoring you. I just, like, if I don't do it right away and I say I'm gonna get to it, I put it off another week. If I don't do something right away, it's just not gonna happen. And so I'm gonna try really, really, really hard to catch up on tag videos. But that's it. That is the mid-year book freakout tag video. Let me know if you did this, if you answered these questions. Yeah, share that with me. Let me know. I'll go check it out. And I will talk to you soon. Bye.